I think I'm ill. I've got imagination. Mostly it's very dark, depressing. People are planning that this woman gonna die. Like, what the heck? It's such a weird situation. Everything was boring, boring, boring. Wow, I will be depressed after this book. Siri, I have to say hi.
Sure. Translate into which language?
Brazilian Portuguese.
Oi.
Oi. That sounds cool. I really like it. Oi. Where's my iPad? Hey! How are you doing? How's your quarantine going? How much are you reading? What are you doing mainly, I'm asking? Hello everybody, my name is Lena and this is my life. Today I've decided to share with you what I read in March. I read 2 non-fiction and 4 fiction. Let's start with non-fiction. I don't have any physical copy of books I'm telling you about because I was mainly reading from my iPad. I was using 2 apps called Overdrive and Libby, which is very, very useful. If you have a library account, you can use it for free, which is very cool. So, I mean, during quarantine, download that. If you're running out of interesting books, check that out. While I still had my dance classes, I read Champion's Mind by Jim Aframo. This book is written for athletes, about champions' mindset, about gold medalists at Olympic Games. And you know, on Olympic Games, there's just like huge pressure. Performing under pressure changes the whole game, because when the athletes do their best in class, then they go to the competition, and on stage they're not as successful as in class, because there is not only physical part of the sport, but there is also mental part of the sport. And when they meet, they both need to be very, very strong. Usually not only physically fit wins the competition, but most physically and mentally fit person wins the competition. This book talks a lot about nerves, how to deal with them, how to use them to your benefit, how to deal with negative thinking, how to use focus, meditation. I was reading this book before my dance classes. It kept me away from burnout, from negative thinking, and things that I learned I could apply immediately, which is like perfect. Yeah, it helped me quite a lot. The second non-fiction book that I read this month was something that came very unexpected because I did not want to read this book, but my library had it, so I borrowed it and I absolutely loved it. This is one of my favorite books right now. It's called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari. The author is an Israeli historian and he's very popular with his Sapiens and Homo Sapiens books, and I guess it's the 3rd one, I'm not really sure. I did not read Sapiens and I'm looking forward to reading that one in April. What I can say, this is an outstanding book. I wanted to recommend it to every friend I had, to all of my family members. My mom started reading it. We started discussing all these interesting things. This book is just mind-blowing. At the beginning, I was very skeptical about this book because talking about politics, religion, about terrorism is kind of scary topic. I thought I would be stressed out, I will be depressed after this book. I can't watch news because I got so depressed and so paranoid about that. At the beginning it was hard, but then you understand it more and better and you start understanding some insights. I mean, it talks about technology, it talks about human rights. All analyses are based on real events that happened in some countries, not only in one. He analyzes different countries with different cultures. Understanding these things just changed my viewpoint. I do understand that there is lots of hard topics right there and it could be not for everyone, for sure, and you can argue and deny the ideas, but you need to consider they exist and they might happen. It's one of the scenarios. If you're ready to see completely another point of view, if you're ready to read something challenging, that might be your next book. Okay, let's move to fiction part. I read 4 books and they all are from Russian classical literature because this year I'll have an exam, so I need to be quite prepared. Still, I really enjoyed them, which is very surprising because in school I hated classical stuff. It was so boring. I do understand why, because it's for other readers who did not have Instagram, who did not have so many distractions. It's fine. The first book is We by Zamyatin. I love dystopian novels. I've decided to go back in time and read how the idea of dystopian worlds changed. There was a rumor that 1984 was in a way connected, that Orwell read We. I don't know, but anyway, they do have quite a lot of similarities. It was a light read. It wasn't like a harsh stuff that you're gonna see in modern dystopians. But if you want to try out dystopians, but you're very afraid of dark stuff, you can go there. So we follow the main character's diary. He lives in this perfect mathematical world. We see how he's convinced in what this society gives him. He's like, I work as a part of a huge mechanism and not me, we. He considered himself not as a personality but as a part, a small piece of mechanism, like a machine that is working. He's very proud of that, which is quite interesting because throughout the novel we see how his mind shifts and how he's like, I think I'm ill, I've got imagination. In that world, imagination is illness, dreams are also illnesses. Very interesting world, made of glass. They live in the houses made of glass, and like the walls are made of glass, so they see each other. Maybe they're not like harsh spying on each other like in other dystopian novels. I'm hoping to read more dystopian novels in the upcoming month. Really want to read Brave New World and Clockwork Mandarin, I guess it's called that way. Stupid head. If you're a fan of dystopians and you did not read this book for some reason, give it a try. It was like a light and enjoyable read. The next book, called Dr. Żwałga by Pasternak. Mainly we follow the lifetime of Dr. Żwałga, of his like surrounding and other people, and how their life and fates got intertwined at some points, and how like people change and they meet each other at different stages. At the same time, revolution is happening. Most of them are like beholders. They did not want this thing to happen. The revolution is directly influencing their life, the way of life, their fates, and destroying most of their plans. I guess this book is great for rereading, to understanding something a little bit deeper and see more connections. The next one is Player by Dostoevsky, and I want to tell you that this is one of the lightest novels that I read by Dostoevsky, which is quite surprising. Usually it puts you in like very stressful, depressing place and mind, and you're like, ooh. I even laughed at some moments. There's like the weird romance between the main character, the teacher, and this woman. It's just like very weird, because he comes to her and says, I'm your slave, I can do whatever you want, like whatever you ask for. And also it's like hate and love relationship, because at the same time he feels these two things towards her, which for me was kind of like entertaining. Also, what was so funny for me in this book, some ladies and gentlemen staying at the hotel where everything's happening in the Europe, but in Moscow there is an old lady, heirs of which most of these people are. Oopsie doopsie. They're waiting for this woman to die because she's ill, and they get like letters from Moscow that says she almost died but she did not die. They're waiting for this letter which will say that she died, and now they're rich, now they own money, because all of them have plans for a future and they can't move on until they get this letter. People are planning that this woman's gonna die and what they're gonna use her money for. I found this situation hilarious. It was a fast, light read. Still, it got psychology inside. Come on, it's Dostoevsky, it can't be the other way. So after reading it, I couldn't stop and I was like, okay, I want to reread Crime and Punishment. So that's what I did. This is one of my favorite classical books at school. I do remember how everything was boring, but then I met this one. Wow. All of my friends who read this divides into two camps. I hate it and I can't read it, and the other, I loved it. It's very dark, psychological thing. So mainly, if you don't know the plot, Raskolnikov, the main character, kills an old lady. He needs to live with that. And we just go through his mind as he thinks. We see how it happens. In traditional detective stories, we don't know what happened with a dead body. Here we know exactly how and who did it. Is completely other side. And I really like to get in his mind and go through these thoughts and dreams. I do remember how badly I was terrified by the dream first reading it. I was like, ooh, this is hard, I can't read it. The main character does quite a lot of good things, which is like his nature, but at the same time, he kills the old lady, which is completely opposite. How much contradiction there might be in one person. Like, what the heck? I absolutely love the characters. They're so real, they're so, I don't know, 3D, 5D. Trust me, you wouldn't like to meet these characters in real life. They have their own problems, they have their own vision of the world. Mostly it's very dark, depressing, and you know, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, that was all for March 2020. Anyway, that was it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye. Peace out.